The rabbis, in their commentary to the Torah, were very sensitive to the use of language because the rabbis understood that the entire Torah was given to Moses by God at Mount Sinai. It was written by God and handed to Moses, and therefore, since God wrote it, it had to be understood as perfect. If we see anything that seems like an error in language, it must be our fault, because God doesn't make a mistake when God speaks. And so, because of that sensitivity, the rabbis arrive at very interesting interpretations. We see such an interpretation in juxtaposition of this week's portion, Yitro, and last week's portion, Bishalach. Last week, as the people had just crossed the sea and seen the miracle of the exodus from Egypt, they immediately complain about being thirsty and hungry. They say, "Why have you taken us out of Egypt? I am hungry, I am thirsty." That's how the Hebrew puts it, with that switch from the first person plural, taken us out of Egypt, to the first person singular, I am hungry, I am thirsty. The rabbis say there that it's clear that when one is desperate, one switches to thinking about themselves individually as opposed to thinking about what is better for the community. Whereas in this week's portion, as the people are camped at Mount Sinai, instead of saying they were camped, it says he was camped. In other words, the community is seen as one individual. And so when it's for a higher spiritual purpose, to hear God's word, to hear the Ten Commandments and then the entire Torah, the people were of one mind and one body. So it all depends then, according to the rabbis, what is the purpose of the first person singular? What is the purpose of the individual in the story of the Torah? Is it for selfish purposes, or is it for understanding that the community is together as one? And so our portion this week strives to teach us that we should always think of ourselves as part of a community, and that we always look to see the betterment of the entire community rather than one individual. Shabbat Shalom.